Now, the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana and the Chartered Institute of Public Finance and Accountancy are delighted to announce the signing of a memorandum of understanding. What is contained in this MOU? We will talk more on that. And what does the Institute do at all? I think we will break things a lot more down this morning here on the AM show. So I've got Fred Moore, who's the CEO of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, and Professor K.B. Omani Enchi. He is the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. I want to say good morning to you. Good morning. And to you, Prof. You're welcome to the AM show. The Institute is not new to the show, but you are.
Yes. Yes.
So how does it feel really to be president?
Well, let me say it feels good that you've been chosen to serve. For me, it is a service.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your expectations?
I'm expecting that members will cooperate. I expect that the institute would be heard more, in terms of making sure that we make impact.
Okay.
There's a lot of economic issues that we need to talk about and contribute. And I think we've started the advocacy role, and I hope that it will carry on. So at the end of the day, the relevance of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana can be felt by all.
We wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's talk about this memorandum of understanding that you're so excited about, Mr. Moore.
Yeah.
What is contained in this?
There's a number of things. The first thing to say is that we are privileged to be working with one of the oldest public sector financial management accountancy bodies in the world. You and I both know that we've gone through some challenges, and these challenges are not new to Ghana. And what we hope that we can leverage on the expertise of the CIPFA body to improve the financial management in Ghana, to build capacity in the public sector financial management, to make sure that we can move from where we are or where we've been for a long time to better things.
Okay, and when you say we, you're talking about the nation?
I'm talking about the nation, I'm talking about the professional accountants. I'm talking about basically making sure that this institute makes the greatest impact on our economy.
Okay, so what did they bring on board?
What I don't want people to think that the CIPFA is going to just tell us things, because there's a lot of expertise in the institute. What we need to do is to build on new things that they've done before because of the experience. But what they bring on board is the experience. They've been around a lot of years. They've worked in advanced countries. They are the prime public sector financial management body in the UK. So what they can bring to us is working with us to build capacity in our public sector, to make sure that our public finances are second to none in Africa and hopefully in the world.
Okay, so Prof, I want to find out from you, you think the public sector will open their doors to them?
Yes, already we invited them to come in. They've made a number of visits to the various offices. I think Controller and Accountant General's office, the Auditor General. They went to the Ministry of Finance, Public Accounts Committee
of Parliament. Okay.
So they've done a lot of legwork in terms of meeting people and sharing the kind of collaboration that we are going into. So I believe that yes, there's that goodwill there. People are prepared to ensure that we get what we call high quality public financial management in the country. You know,
some persons have argued that is it a situation of let us change the people who are there, or let us build their capacity? Which one is which? For me,
it's basically let's build capacity. It isn't necessarily change the people who are there. Let's build capacity. Let us make sure that they can get a new mindset.
But can they?
Well, why not? I mean, they're human beings. So, I mean, we learn
but
every
when
day.
Somebody is so corrupt and is used to changing figures and not doing the right thing.
Yes, my dear sister. You see, so long as you are human beings, we think. You see, what is happening is that we need to develop our moral character. We need to get some core values developed in us. And this will come about as you train people, as you give them skill, as you interact with them. Then they begin to realize that, hey, we need to change. I mean, for me, people can change. And basically what we should do is part of the training, make sure that we make sure they understand what it is if you have what we call an upright character for you to become an authentic leader. So yes, they can change.
Okay.
It's not a question of push everyone away, we are all not good. No, it's a question of let's get the skill, let's understand them, let's build them up. And that's why we call it capacity building.
So Fred, when is it? When is this capacity building starting really?
There's a number of things in the pipeline that we are looking at. We're talking to the controller and accountant general to get an MOU also signed with them, so that we can move it a step further. And hopefully we go to the auditor general, and we're now building a closer relationship with them. But I also think that one of the key things is not about just the individual, just like the president said, that the paradigm needs to shift. One way of shifting the paradigm is making sure that the systems are in place to make sure that the system is not totally dependent on the person who is there, but is dependent on the process that is in place. And I think one of those things that we could do, working with CIPFA, is to try and build the capacity, like the president mentioned a couple of times, and to make sure that the capacity brings out the best in people to move the system forward. In terms of process and things that we're hoping to do, we want to hit the ground running. And as soon as we get the MOU with the controller, we're already working with controller on a number of issues, on IPSAS, on the gift mates, all of those things we are currently doing. And part of it has actually been sponsored by Star Ghana, that we've been carrying on quietly in our normal way for the last year. But what we want to do under the new presidency is to make sure that everything we do, we make our voice heard.
Okay. I don't know the details of the things that you're already working on, but I know one of our biggest issues, Prof, is eliminating ghost names. Do you have any idea as to how we can get this done?
Well, I think already it has started. The GiveMates is a platform. I think they're bringing a human resource package, and that will help. Usually, if you have a system that is working, that has little human interference, and you would be able to actually ensure that names that are added, so-called ghost names.
Yeah, but is it hard to do? Is it hard to do? I mean, like, what brings about this?
Well, basically, if people are corrupt, they would do that. And I'm saying that all of us don't have the same moral character. Our core values are not the same, right? And therefore, if your core values are not the same, you are bound to have that kind of challenge. But if you get a system that is tight, that has inbuilt controls here and there, and that is what I think our finance minister is for me, I'll give him that thumbs up for that. You know, he's all in that kind of thing. So if the system is working, the processes, the procedures are solid, with inbuilt controls, it will be very difficult. I'm not saying that as human beings, but it will be difficult.
But these controls should also trickle down, because there are a lot of bureaucracies in the system.
Exactly. So you could see that it isn't necessarily bottom up. It is also what top down. People must understand that it is time for us to ensure that our country, Mother Ghana, can grow, and we can only grow if these leakages and whatnots are plucked here and there. Growth comes when you are able to mobilize revenue, when you are able to ensure that the revenue that we have is targeted for projects, and the projects are done and you get value for money. And if you don't have that, then how can you ensure growth? And that is where sometimes when we talk about the ghost names, I mean, it has gone on for a long time. It's not happening in Ghana alone. Quite recently, we were in Malawi, and there was even worse. They call it Cashgate scandal.
Cashgate
scandal. So I believe that the system must work. The processes must be there. The procedures must be there. The aim of the system should be there. It should be a top-down. People should accept that we now prepared for change. If we are not prepared for change, I mean, bring whoever, maybe let even Jesus Christ come down, there will be a problem. We should be prepared for a change.
Let's get down to the institute itself. What's the difference between any other accountant and one who's chartered?
the privilege of being called a chartered accountant is one. What a number of people, and a lot of people I think in Ghana don't understand, that the only way you can be a chartered accountant in Ghana is when you qualify through us. If you don't qualify through ICAG, Institute of Chartered Accountants, you are a professional accountant. You are not a chartered accountant. In terms of the difference, what one can do that the other can't, I think all professional bodies, or the main professional bodies, are members of IFAC that set out the standards that we all work under. And therefore, it's difficult to say that one is better than the other. If you ask me, as for my opinion, I'll tell you that they're all the same. What I sometimes find surprising is some of the comments that come out there that one is better than the other. Unless you've actually done empirical studies on the two, it is very difficult to just jump up and say. So anybody who says one is better than the other is probably fooling you or trying falsehood, in my view.
Okay.
Let me just clarify a point there. For you to be a chartered accountant, you have to actually go through a process. One of the processes, the training and passing the professional examination of Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. That is the first step. The next step is getting the requisite skill or training, which will be certified by another chartered accountant. And yes, I can certify that, in my opinion, he has that skill. Then we admit you to membership. The moment you become a member, then you can say that you are a chartered accountant. There are various accountancy programs, academic programs, MBA, MSc, MCom, PhD in accountancy. That is just an academic program, part and parcel of the training process. You cannot call yourself a chartered accountant if you've come out with those degrees. You can only call yourself a chartered accountant when you have passed the qualifying examination of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, and then admitted to membership.
Okay, so on that note, I understand you have new faculties?
Yes, the faculty system is part of the advocacy role which we want to roll out in Ghana, which is also part of our agenda 2014-16. The faculty system is to put together qualified accountants in specific areas. People that are, say, interested in financial management can come together. People that are interested in, say, auditing can come together, and they would interrogate issues and issue statements to guide the practice of accountancy in the country. Basically, what the Institute of Accountant wants to do is to ensure that the relevance of this institute is felt by all, and that we can contribute to the growth of Ghana.
Okay. Mr. Moore, so what are we to expect? I mean, are you going to be adding on to this?
The key thing that we want to do is to make the Institute of Chartered Accountant the most relevant professional body in the country, to make sure that the best and the brightest come to our doors wanting to become chartered accountants. Because in any economy, for the economy to survive, you need growth. You need good financial management. You need businesses to thrive. The only profession that trains people for business is the accountancy profession, and that is held at the Institute of Chartered Accountant premises in Legon. And if you want to find us...
So you train people for business?
Yeah. We train at the accountancy profession. The Institute of Chartered Accountants trains you to become a business leader.
Okay.
So gone were the days when accountants only sit in the back room and sort of add up numbers or count money. Those days are long gone.
So now you're not satisfied with that alone?
No, we want to take over.
You will be on the forefront.
Yes. And if you look at Ghana at the moment, a number of key people in key industries and key sectors are all chartered accountants. You go to Barclays, you go to HFC, Zenith, you go to Goyle, Shell, and if you go to the CFO level, you've got 80% of CFOs in Ghana who are chartered accountants. And if you go to partners, the big 20 firms, or the big, all the 200 firms, all the senior partners are chartered accountants. So that tells you that the profession doesn't train you to become a back office person. It trains you to hit the sky.
Okay. So, Prof, what would it mean for us to have a lot more accountants who are chartered in the public sector?
It will mean that our resources will be prudently managed. I mean, resources should be managed in such a way that we get what we call value for money. Mm-hmm. And it is only accountants that have been trained when it comes to managing funds. So if you have a lot of chartered accountants produced for the public sector, the kind of challenge that we are having here and there would be minimized. And we hope that with the ethics that we are now trumpeting and strengthening in our chartered accountants that we are producing, they would act ethically. And therefore, a lot of these scandals will be minimized. Mm. So for me, it is good for us to get a lot of chartered accountants for the country, for the growth of the country.
Okay. And for me as a taxpayer, and I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of our viewers as well, it will mean we'll be paying them more, because if you're chartered, you get to be paid a lot more, right?
Well, if you are chartered, yes. I mean, chartered accountants, it doesn't mean you'll be rich, but you will not be poor. I mean, once you are a chartered accountant.
I'm wondering why I'm still poor.
But yes, paying taxes you must pay taxes as part of your civic responsibility. And if you are getting good money, you must pay the due taxes. Mm. And that goes also to develop the country.
Could I add something to that? One of the things you mentioned about paying more, which will be true, but the other thing is, are we happy to let that much drainage go out of our system? So it's a balance in that. And I believe that if you had a lot more chartered accountants in the public services, the MMDAs and MDAs, what you have is a lot more value for money. And therefore, the payment of the more you make will be outstripped by the revenue that you save and the revenue that you can collect.
Okay. All right. So just before we wrap up, I want you to tell people where they can find the institutes.
Good. You can find us on the website www.icagh.com, if I may repeat it, www.icagh.com, or you can email us to info@icagh.com, or you can come to Oponglu, East Legon, and we are on the UPS Road, just before the Institute of Bankers. We are the most prominent building on that road.
I knew you would add that. I want to say thank you so much for your time. Unless, Prof, is there something you quickly want to add?
A lot of people have called me that, we are under a lot of pressure as chartered accountants. I just want to give them a simple advice. This is a poem that I read. It's a short one. My teacher taught me 6 things. And the 6 things are: always ask what, why, when, how, where, who. If you ask these questions, you would always solve a problem as a chartered accountant.
And you can always be a journalist by asking those questions as well. So we have something in common. But just a quick one. Can you move from ACCA directly to ICAG? Is there?
You mean, we admit anybody who is bright to come to our institute. If you're talking about somebody who is a qualified ACCA, there's a different process they go through. And when they come to our office, we will have that dialogue with them. If somebody is training now with any of the professional bodies, not just ACCA, CIMA, or any other body, they can also come to us, because what we want to do is to build capacity in Ghana for the Ghana economy. If I may just say something, the foreign bodies in Ghana and in Africa contribute a significant amount of money to the UK economy. And then what do? Go back to the UK and ask for some of that money. Let's think more about local content.
Thank you, Fred Moore. Thank you, Professor KB Omani Enchi, President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana. It's a pleasure, really. Always a good time having a conversation with the Institute, and it's a pleasure to have you on board now, Prof.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll meet again.